So thank you, Claire, for your wonderful talk. Are there any questions? Yes.
Why did you stay with the practice?
Why did I stay with the practice?
Why did you stay? She talked about how she came to practice.
Yeah.
I guess I was going to ask, why did you? Maybe you'd rather answer why I came to the practice, but I thought I would leapfrog and say, well, why did you stay with the practice?
I had no choice. So when I came to practice, unlike Claire's very high-class story of having a great question from when she was like 3 years old or something, and really being, fascinated by her mind and realizing the disjunct between her mind and the universe and also the identity and so on and so forth, rather than being very high class. As many people know, I had a very difficult time as a child and an adolescent and a young woman, and I had tremendous psychological pain and some psychological distortions. And I started meditating because of that, relaxation response. And I also had a wonderful Gestalt therapy, a wonderful Gestalt therapist. And one day I looked at her and I said, I don't have to be this way, do I? And she said, no, you don't. It was gone, And then I could start being with other people and practicing Zen. And when I walked into Cambridge Zen Center for the first time, I just felt I'm home. There was no question of leaving. There was a period when my son was 12 and we couldn't hire babysitters anymore, so we could both go to practice. And I felt that this is a dangerous age. If you have kids, you know that 12 is a dangerous age. Some of you don't know yet that 12 is a dangerous age, but I'm telling you, 12 is a dangerous age. And I realized that he needed at least one of us to be constant. And so I stopped practicing for about 2 years. But in my heart, I was always practicing, even when I wasn't practicing. It just was really nothing. It was nothing that leaving it did not make sense. It would be like leaving my skin. You can leave your hair, but you can't leave your skin. So for me, that's my answer. So, are there any other questions? Yes.
Why do you have the question, what am I, instead of who am I?
That's a good question. So just in case the sound doesn't come through, the question is, why do you say, what am I, rather than who am I? Who am I tends to lead to a story. This is my job, this is how many kids I have, this is my mother, my father, my spouse, or sweetheart, or maybe I don't have any. This is my job, this is my house, this is my car. So if you say, who am I, that tends to lead to story. But what am I points to substance. What am I made of, really? And we're not talking about chemicals. What is this self? What is this substance that's called I? And so it points deeper than story. So that's why we ask, what am I, rather than who am I? And many people ask, what is this, as a different question. But it's actually the same question, because we are not separate from this universe. So what is this? It's the same question as what am I? They're just sort of different ways of looking at the same thing. So some people prefer, what is this? And some people prefer, what am I? whichever one it is, whichever one that helps you really look deeply and also open up. You know, I find that when I sit and when cognition arises, it's a feeling like somebody's pressing on my head, you know, it's this almost physical feeling of being constrained. And then if I just can open up and let the universe in, just let the universe in. So whichever question helps you, let the universe in, and also look very deeply, question everything. And I don't mean superficially question. You know, like, well, is tiramisu really a good dessert? I don't mean that. I mean, like, really look deeply, deeply, deeply at this question of substance. What is this? What is this universe made of? What are we made of? And look deeply before speech, before thinking. Really, really deeply. You know, there are physical sensations you can't describe very well. Like, I cannot describe period cramps to my husband. Thank God it's been a long time since I've had them, but, you know, I cannot describe what that feels like to him, because it's not like a stomach ache. I'm assuming you've had them, you know, they're not like stomach aches. They're a different feeling. So it's before speech, these things that we can't articulate. We're looking that deeply. So there's not like an answer, oh, that's the answer, I'm this, I'm a child of God. You know, it's not like that. It's deeper, 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 deeper. Whatever helps us go really deep. So in Korean, these are called wadu, in Chinese wato, and which means great question. And these great question practices are designed to help us go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It's a bottomless ocean. You're not going to come to the bottom and grab something and bring it up like a pearl and say, look, isn't this beautiful? It's absolutely bottomless. And our job is to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay? Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Jennifer.
So how do we have, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 forms of practice in our school? How do the forms other than sitting help us go deeper and deeper and deeper? Because it seems like sitting is the natural fit for that. But how, and actually Kongans, I guess, too. But what about bowing and chanting? How do they fit into that?
Okay, and you forgot walking.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So first I have to give a quick primer on the forms. So there's sitting, which everyone is aware of. And in fact, in Korean, it's son. We use the Japanese pronunciation Zen. And in Chinese, it's chan. And that means meditation. So we're, as a school, you know, not just quantum schools, but the broader chan, sun, Zen schools, all, it's referring to meditation. And then we also, so we have meditation practice. We have bowing, prostrations. And then we have chanting. And then we have walking meditation, which we don't do in our regular practice because that's between sittings. And we only have one sitting in most of our practices. And then we have Kongan practice, where you go in and the teacher asks you a question and you try to deal with it. And so we have these 5 forms of practice. All of them are pointing to this great question. When you're sitting, I think everybody's aware of how our mind can just go somewhere. It's not where it is at all. It's not where we are. It's God knows where it is. It's made up, you know? It's just doing that. And you can sit and sit and sit and think, I am sitting so hard. I am in samadhi. I am so wonderful. But you're not. You're actually fooling yourself. So we have these communal practices where you do things together of walking, chanting, and bowing, where you're doing everything together with somebody else, unless you're doing it by yourself. But let's talk about doing it in a sangha. You're doing it with other people. And then it's harder to fool yourself. Because if you make a mistake during chanting, you're aware that you made that mistake. If you lose count on the bows, you're aware. You know, you think it's bow number 102, but the person says last bow, which means it's number 108. So you're aware. You're aware when you're doing prostrations of doing it with everybody. So the kind of self-absorption that can happen in sitting that we can mistake for some kind of awakening is not possible when you're doing these practices with other people. You have to be constantly aware when we're bowing. We do prostrations together. So you have to be aware of what everybody in the room is doing. In chanting, you have to be aware of what everybody in the room is doing. So it takes you out of your self-absorption. And remember, you and this universe are not separate. That means you and this sangha are not separate. So taking your place in the community, in what my teacher called together action, is another way of pointing at your true self. You see your mind, you know, being annoyed maybe by the way someone is chanting, or you think the bows are too fast, bows are too slow. You see this critical mind coming up. Or you see this mind that says, you know, I hate this chant. It's just an awful chant. I really like that chant, but I really don't like that chant, you know. These things come up, and they're inescapable. And, oh, you're in a situation where you see them. You see them. So that's an important part of practice. And in walking meditation, you know, we have our hands in this posture, and we walk in unison with the other people. We don't try footfall, because you have one person with long legs and one person with short legs, and that doesn't work very well. But instead we try to just keep the same distance. You know, keep the same distance. It should be, you know, a couple, 3 feet, something like that. And we keep our eyes down, and we walk around the room. And this room, it has a lot of nice art. We have nice trees out the window and stuff like that. You know, you're walking in the room and you say, oh, look at that gold boot on the altar. That's a really cool. But no, you know, this distraction mind that comes up all the time, we see that mind because there we are being distracted. Oh, I really like those light fixtures. Oh, I really don't like those light fixtures. You know, we see that. That mind comes up, and we just keep our focus on our walking, keep our focus on this together action with the group. So these other forms of meditation are ways in which we can see this mind that when we're sitting, we can pretend it's not there. And then we can see it. Oh, look at that. And then we can go deeper than whatever that mind that gets in the way. We can go deeper than that in that moment because we see it. And of course, Kongan practice is Kongan practice. And, you know, I've talked a lot about it. I'm not going to talk about it right now because you can talk about it forever. Not yeah. So all these practices are pointing to the same thing. And everyone, you know, people think of walking meditation, think, oh, that's just to stretch your legs. It is to stretch your legs, of course. But it's also a wonderful, wonderful practice of paying attention not to an object, but paying attention to attention. Just keep your place. Just do what you're supposed to do and not get pulled this way and pulled that way. So thank you for your question. Are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
The meditation practice that we're taking to the cushion, what am I? What is this? Doesn't that also fit into the other forms of meditation?
Sure. Yeah. And I do want to say, yeah, this what am I is something what is this is something you can carry with you all the time. Washing dishes, driving a car, you can carry that with you all the time. I do want to say that that's not the only form of meditation that we do. So basically There's counting breaths or simply focusing on the breath. So there's breath-based practices. There's, which was certainly my introduction to practice, and I did it for a number of years. There's mantra practice. We tend to recommend fast mantra. So your mind, my teacher, he said it's like the spin cycle on a washing machine. You know, you're going concepts, you know, really, really fast, faster than you can sub-vocalize, much less vocalize. You're doing it like, you know, you're saying Kwanzaa and Bosal in your mind like maybe 100 times a minute or something. It's really, really fast. And then it's like the spin cycle in the washing machine. All the crud gets, you know, sort of kicked out. And I did that for a very, very long time. And then there's, you know, great question with, you know, with the don't know. And then there's just holding great question. Those are sort of broad forms of practice. And there are other forms of practice too. But behind all of them is this great question. So we say that there are 3 legs on the stool of Zen. So if you make a seat, you know, a stool to sit on, if it has 2 legs, it's not stable. But if it has 3 legs, 3 is the most stable, even more stable than 4. So 3 is very stable. So you have 3 legs on the stool of Zen, on the seat of Zen. And one is, the first one is great doubt or great question. That's what makes you look at everything and say, what is this? What am I? What is this? That's this great question behind everything. And then the second one is great faith. And some people say that this is great faith, that practice can help us resolve, not in the sense of finality, but resolve this great doubt, great question, that help us keep going on this great question, that help us awaken. But I think that that's too specific. That great faith, it's also sometimes translated as great trust, because, you know, these Chinese words like the doubt and question, it's the same word in Chinese, the faith and the trust, same word in Chinese. In English has 2 translations. And this great faith is really great trust. And it's like when you're walking and you put your feet down and you don't question whether the earth is going to be there to meet you. You just put your feet down. Now, of course, sometimes you step into a hole, you know, you have a problem. Or maybe there's an earthquake or something. But usually, you know, we do this, and it's that mind, that when you're walking, you just have faith. The earth will be there for your feet. So it's that kind of faith and trust, a really deep, deep, deep faith and trust. And then the third is great effort or great energy. So it takes hard work to do this stuff. You know, there's a reason why we don't have hundreds of people in here every Sunday, much less every Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday at 6:30, much less every Wednesday evening at 6:30, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday morning. There's a reason for that, and that's because this is non-trivial. This is work. It's not fun. It's work. And it takes effort. You know, it's not something like you sit in the spa chair and they're doing your nails and your toenails and maybe giving you a little facial. I've actually never done that stuff because I don't particularly like it. But, you know, a lot of people, you know, just go there and people are like pampering you and doing nice things to you, you know. It's the difference. It's like if you have Todd working on you, he's working on you. Todd's a fabulous, fabulous massage therapist. And he's a massage therapist, you know. He's working on you. You don't go there to relax. You go there to get fixed. Well, you don't get fixed in Zen, but, you know, it's life-changing. It's life-changing. This practice is life-changing, and it can't be life-changing unless it takes effort. So those are the three necessary things in Zen: this question, doubt, this trust, faith, and this effort, energy. Those are the 3 things that it takes to practice Zen. So, thank you for that question. And I guess there's time for one quick question if there is one. Okay, let's stop the recording.